welcome everybody here. We join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
high chair again. Can we have roll call, please?
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah.
Thank you. Next, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf, second by Hill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Was it Mike? I heard you say?
O'Laughlin,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. As long as you get the right names, we're good. Nobody has signed in for public comment, so we will go on to, I need a motion to accept the consent agenda that approves the following: minutes of the February 12th, 2018 regular meeting, city financial statements from the month of January, budgeted transfers for the month of January, fire department financials for the month of January.
So moved. Second.
Motion by O'Laughlin, second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next, I need a motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Motion by Hill, seconded by
Second.
Hayward. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. I don't, is Jean here? I don't see Jean Rouse.
But she told me she would, I saw her at Fairway, and she said, just asked if I'd speak on her behalf and say that this is
Okay.
a long-time program that's been very successful and very good people, and just wondered if we would again approve that for.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve Pony Express Riders of Iowa to collect donations on the bank corners on Good Friday, March 30th, 2016, from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. here in Independence.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Scharf, second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Should we just call her, let her know that it passed, or we just assume she knows? Okay,
I need to follow up on the insurance too. I didn't get an email from them, so.
she'll contact her on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we're under general obligation. So we need to do a hearing. I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
Second.
second by Hayward. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved. Motion by Kurtz,
Second.
second by Scharf. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. So we are in public hearing in regards to the proposal to enter into a general obligation corporate purpose loan agreement. Is there anyone out there that was wanting to speak to this?
How about if we give a little short overview for those of you who are viewing as to what the $2.7 million is to pay for?
The 2.7, in short, and I guess I didn't bring my cheat sheet that I sent you on that. It covers all of the street and bridge projects that have federal or state earmarks associated with them. Second Street Northeast does not have a state or federal earmark, but that's $225,000 to do the street that we need for the detour when we get into the 2019 street project. $490,000 for Enterprise Drive East, $110,000 to improve the intersection at 17th Street
That's the
Southeast.
list if you need
Oh, I'm
it.
cheating up on
Okay.
yours, but thank you. $510,000 for First Street East. That's our local share to match the federal funds. Malone Creek Bridge is $141,000, matching the state bridge fund. First Street West Trail is $125,000. Again, there's ITAP money associated with that. We have 8 blocks of street rehab scheduled for this year, $272,000. Fire truck at $500,000, and the street department has a plow truck, dump truck for $135,000. On all of our projects, these are engineer estimates only. They have not been bid, so we're going on an estimated, I'm sorry, that's the wrong term. The engineer's opinion of cost. We have to get it right. But again, that's only our local share. The $2.7 million general bond obligation is meant to be a not to exceed, and these do not include all of the engineering costs. So if you add all those up, you'll see that it does come in under the $2.7 million. But these are not to exceed for the general obligation bond, and we do have other costs associated with the projects.
So is there any other discussion?
So they are projects that we really do need to be involved with.
They are. There's, close to $2 million worth of state and federal funds, depending on how you look at it and where we end up with, in particular on the bridge. I know First Street East has $600,000 associated with it. We have up to $1 million, and we're going to get to that later in the meeting, of
Bridge fund.
bridge funds. We have a 55% match on the 17th Street Southeast intersection project. The First Street West Trail has got a, I want to say it's $160,000 associated with that, something in that ballpark. So again, there's quite a bit of state and federal money associated with all of these that we are leveraging. That was one of the decisions that council had made, is we're going to focus on those things where we're leveraging other dollars, not just local dollars.
Now, with the Enterprise Drive Trail, do we have funds allocated for that from the state or federal level, don't we?
The trail or that
trail.
intersection?
There is the trail down there. We do have state, it's federal money through the state for the Enterprise Drive Trail as well.
Sure. Will that be an 18 or 19 project?
Right now, we're just waiting on easements,
Sure.
but that'll be an 18 project if we can get the easements in place.
Okay. And just so the public knows, 2019 is when Main Street and the Malone Creek Bridge will be reconstructed.
Right, this is, really, we're kind of looking at a 2-year window here. The projects that are designed or intended to be constructed in 18, summer of 18, would be the 2nd Street Northeast, the 17th Street Southeast intersection, the 8 blocks of street rehab. Now, that can go either way, but again, we're going to get into that a little bit later in the meeting. That's being geared up if we want to do it yet this year. The fire truck and the dump truck we're looking at really in 18. As well as, we hope the Enterprise Drive Trail. It's not on this list, but our local match, I think, is $49,000 on that. So summer of 19, First Street East, reconstruction from the Wapsie to the Malone Creek Bridge, 9.5 blocks. The Malone Creek Bridge itself. First Street West Trail, which is from 10th Avenue to 20th Avenue West. And I guess that's
These two in 18 or 19?
18.
Okay.
Enterprise Drive East is really whenever we get that put together, working with Casey's and Rydell. That could happen in 18 or 19. It's dragging out a little bit longer than I think most people anticipated, but that's going to be sitting on the cusp there. There is not federal dollars associated with that. That's to enhance the economic development, commercial development in that part of town.
Is there any more headway on the disagreements?
Not as of Thursday.
I think to clarify for people that are listening, when we talk about Enterprise Drive East, and excuse me if you can't understand me, but if I swallow it, the Enterprise Drive East is, we're really just talking about the intersection, making it a safe intersection off 150. We're not building a street anywhere farther than we have to. We just, with Rydell's and Casey's and whatever other future developments happen there, that intersection could become a disaster if it's not built correctly at this point in time. So I don't want people to think we're building a street that's going to be several blocks long. It's just going to be enough to make it safe.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's roughly 500 feet of street, give or take. I mean, it's getting us off of the intersection and really to the east edge of Casey's is about what you're imagining there. So
And utilities beneath it, so it's,
utilities beneath it, that includes some acquisition of property, water, sewer, storm sewer. I mean, that's really the full package to get that street stubbed in. But like I said, I think it might be like 500 feet.
sure.
Anything else? Then I,
So there's one of these projects that we're against, we vote no on the whole thing for the GEO bond, or?
Well, these are not approving the projects. The GEO bond is to fund the projects. If you decide you don't want to do the projects will have to come back to you individually at some point in the future. The GEO bond is a not to exceed, so if we do not use all of the 2.7 million, we don't borrow it. I mean, that's where we're at. We're covering the public hearing and the permission to initiate this. We will not go out and sell the bonds immediately, or that's not the intent. We do have to have them sold by roughly November of this year. But there's another process we have to go through to actually sell the bonds. This is just going through the process to give the city permission to initiate that.
I think probably the other question most people watching right now are, what's this going to do to their taxes if we end up borrowing all of the 2.7 million?
Well, this is calculated into the existing budget proposal that's in, that we've taken to public hearing, that we have our public hearing on March 12th, but those impacts are already calculated into that. It does affect our debt service minimally, but there is some impact.
I now need a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
I'll second.
seconded by O'Laughlin. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next step is a motion to approve a resolution, take an additional action on proposal to enter into a general obligation corporate purpose loan agreement and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same.
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
Second.
second by Kurtz. Do you need a roll call on this? Okay, roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Thank you. Next stage is a motion to approve a resolution authorizing adoption of policies and procedures regarding the municipal disclosures.
So moved.
Motion by Kurtz,
Second.
second by Hayward. Roll call, please.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. Moving on to urban revitalization area, I need a resolution authorizing adoption of, oh, wait a minute. Let me pass this on. We need to go into public hearing. So I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication and notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by O'Laughlin,
Second.
seconded by Hill. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now I need a motion to actually hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
Hill, second by Hill. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing. This is in regards to designation of a 2018 Independence Multi-Residential Urban Revitalization Area. Is there anyone out in the audience wanting to speak on this one? Please state your name.
Yes, George Lake with Buchanan County Economic Development. I encourage the council to move forward on this project. It's going to bring up to, 48 new state-of-the-art apartments into the city of Independence. And it's going to be located out near the industrial park, make it easier for folks to get to and from work. Buchanan County Economic Development recently instituted a countywide housing needs assessment. And each individual city in the county was appraised and looked at the number of new housing units that it may need. And this report indicated that over the course of the next 2 to 3 years, Independence will need an additional 140 housing units. This will address some of those. In my position, last year I met with probably 60 to 63 Buchanan County businesses. And from many of those businesses, I hear the same story, is that it's difficult to bring workers in from out of the county to come into town because of the commute. And yet when they go to look to find apartments, and yes, there is available housing in town. I'm not saying that there's not at all. But a wider variety of housing would certainly help the manufacturers attract and keep workers within the community. Gator Manufacturing, they're up to 385 employees now. And with Tyson's, that's approximately the same number of employees that they have. Priest Enterprises, they're expanding rapidly. They could probably hire 20 to 30 more people in the next month if they could find them. Having additional housing in Independence will certainly benefit our community in many ways. So once again, I would encourage you to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any other discussion or comments anybody wants to make?
Well,
Is all the land out there owned by economic development right now?
No, there's
No.
only one lot left after the sale of this property that's still owned by economic development.
And
So,
go ahead.
is that the city land out there, or whose land is it that we're going to be letting them build this on?
Economic Development is in a process of selling 2 lots out there to the company who wants to build these apartments.
Now that's owned by the city then?
No,
Correct.
Economic Development owns the properties.
Okay, thank you.
just one comment. As George said, there is housing if you hit the paper just right, or you have somebody that listens closely. I know I had a daughter 4 years ago, lived with us for probably about half a year while she was attempting to find someplace to live. And fortunately, her mother watched the paper, came out, she called, and she got someplace to rent. So that this is in addition to what's available now, because for people coming in, it's pretty hit and miss. And so we're not trying to take away anything or any rental property options that already exist. We're trying to create more so that we could have additional people coming to the community.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Anything else?
Oh,
Then,
But maybe Al could explain too on this, I'm afraid to even say the word, this is not low-income housing. This is affordable housing, and that's put together by a formula that Al could explain better.
Well, I'm not sure I'm a good one to explain the formula, but it's not based on low to moderate income housing, which would be the standard, or low income housing, which is the other area that people get nervous about, subsidized. This is distressed workforce housing. It's through the Iowa Department of Economic Development. It's a tax credit program. It's based on a percentage of the average wage paid in the community or in our area. So while it is based on a formula that's tied back into what our workforce is currently earning, it is much higher than what we would consider to be the low to moderate income housing or the subsidized housing as far as rents go. And the tax credit project is designed for communities like ours where we have a demonstrated need for housing, for workforce housing, because our labor pool is having trouble finding adequate housing. And George's housing study that identified the shortfall, that did have to go down to the Iowa Economic Development Department to be reviewed and confirm that the housing study, in fact, is valid, followed the right course of action in determining these needs. It's not just, hey, I think there might be a spot here. And so at this point, we're walking through all the steps to make the housing available. It is a very long process. Housing study is part of it. This revitalization, the urban revitalization area designation is really what we're looking at as far as the city's participation in the project. For the tax credits, the city does have to participate. This is not tax increment financing, although it will look similar to that. They're actually looking at a tax abatement program. And again, this is one of those nuances in setting up the opportunity to consider a tax abatement. You have to designate this property as an urban revitalization area, and it is the 2 lots associated with the workforce housing project.
The other thing for people to understand, these are nice 2- and 3-bedroom apartments with garages and amenities, so it's quite a bit nicer than what we currently can offer in the city, so this will be great.
Okay, then I ask for a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved. Second.
By Scharf, second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to approve a resolution adopting the proposed plan for the 2018 Independence Multi-Residential Urban Revitalization Area.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by Hayward. Roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to approve an ordinance designating an area of Independence, Iowa as the 2018 Independence Multi-Residential Urban Revitalization Area.
So moved.
Motion by Kurtz,
Second.
second by O'Laughlin. Any other discussion? Then I need a roll call, please.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, we're moving on to resolution. A motion to approve a resolution to provide for a notice of hearing on proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the 2018 Second Street Northeast PCC paving and sanitary sewer replacement project, and taking the bids therefore.
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
I'll second.
second by Kurtz. Any other discussion? Then I need a roll call, please.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next, I need a motion to approve a resolution to provide for a notice of hearing on proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the 2018 Second Street Northeast PCC paving sanitary sewer replacement project, and taking of bids and therefore.
You've already done that
We
one.
just did that one? Okay, turned the wrong page. Okay.
Steps.
Okay, motion to approve a resolution to provide for a notice of hearing on proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the 2018 City Hall steps and ramp project and taking bids therefore.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Kurt, second by O'Laughlin. Any discussion?
I think I have just a little bit of information real quickly that I received from the architect today that, as an update for this. The public hearing that you just said is for March 12th. March 13th, the bid documents are scheduled to go to contractors, maybe midweek that week. Pre-bid conference on the 20th at City Hall here for any contractors that are interested. 120-day completion contract, once we approve a contract, is what's proposed. We would have to move all of our access to City Hall to the east door here during that time frame.
I thought the public hearing was for the 26th of March.
Did I get the wrong date?
Section 3, public, March 26, 2018, at 6:30 at the City Hall, Independence, Iowa, is hereby fixed as the time and place of the hearing on the contract of documents.
I apologize, that should be for March 12th.
Okay?
So the resolution needs to be changed to March 12th instead of March 26th at 6:30?
That's correct. It still meets the more than 4, less than 20 on the dates for publication.
Okay, so this resolution is strictly setting the time for a public hearing?
Yeah, it's all you're doing is setting the dates, the date for a public hearing on the plans and specifications.
Oh, do we have a motion, a second on this?
Yeah, I have a motion from Kurtz and a second from O'Laughlin.
Okay. Any other questions? You have something you want clarification?
No, I just,
Want to make sure that
they're willing to change the date to the 12th.
Good catch.
That's right.
Are you okay with the 12th?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna be here, but that's fine.
I'll second it.
And this, what this does is this accepts the plans and specifications and really allows us to go out and start the bidding process.
So it's the 12th of March?
12th of
that we're setting this public hearing,
Thank you, Mike.
okay? Roll call.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes,
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, a motion to approve a resolution waiving assessment interest for the food pantry. Is this on their sidewalk work?
This is on the sidewalk project. The county did ask, request that we waive the interest for food pantry on their assessment. I would recommend that we approve that.
So moved.
Do we need something about the fact that they shouldn't have been assessed because they're a county building, or
Well,
do we need to add that?
in order to waive the assessment, we would have to go through an assessment hearing to modify the assessment roll.
Okay.
At this point, the county had requested us that we waive the interest, and
Okay.
so that's the request that we have.
That's the only thing we're doing tonight.
We can do that. The assessment interest, you have the ability to do by resolution, which is where you're at. If you choose to waive the assessment completely, we'll go back to the drawing board and redraft the assessment list and have to go through the hearing process for that, which is fine.
Okay. Motion was from you,
Correct.
O'Laughlin?
I'll second it.
Second from Kurtz. Roll call, please.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
yes,
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve Mike Lenius to the Independence Light and Power Board of Directors. He'd be the 5th board member. They've been without one for a couple months. And Mike is here in case anybody has any questions. His letter of request of being on this is attached to your documents.
I'd make a motion.
Hold it. I have a question. Not for Mike, but for the city attorney or Al. Is the City of Independence governed by Robert rules or not?
Our policy is that we would follow Robert's Rules of Order. We are not formally required to do that, but that would be our general guiding principle.
Okay, you know why I asked that? Because on Robert rules, you had a vote in December, and it didn't pass. A no person has to bring that back, and it should be in writing. That's standard Robert rules.
That's actually not correct. If something doesn't pass, you can bring it back as new business. It's not like a motion to reconsider because it wasn't passed.
Mickey told me different. You're sure?
Mickey,
League of Cities.
Oh, Mickey Shields?
Mhm.
Well,
I don't want to start an argument or anything, but I want to make sure we're doing the right procedure.
the mayor has I'll just oversimplify it. The mayor has the right to bring a nomination to the council. That is one of the few things that the mayor has the authority to do. The council has the authority to vote yes or no on that appointment. The mayor can bring a name to you once or multiple times. She can bring any number of names. She has about 6,000 options to present to you, and you get to say yes or no. And again, I understand I'm oversimplifying.
You know, no, that's fine.
If it was an action item, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, well, see, when I was talking to Mickey, you just reiterate where I was at, because I'm talking like a resolution.
Right.
And then, so, he wasn't definite, but he gave me the actual rules of Robert rules, but what we don't have in stone, our city doesn't.
Right.
Okay.
Again, I would say that is our guiding principle, generally speaking.
Okay, thank you.
there is a
And
vacancy
that's
on that
that's
board.
No, I know that.
That's the standard, that it is a guiding principle. It's aspirational. But what you don't want is to have such strict adherence that a very minor deviation from Roberts is going to ineffectuate the will of the council.
Correct. Well, he also said, the flexibility, because when it set the Robert rules up, as we know, it was more of a parliamentary thing. And it really wasn't adapted to the city to begin with. But a lot of people, they still use it, some don't, but the flexibility there, it depends on if it's written down that way, then you have to follow it.
Right.
But you answered what I needed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did I have a motion from
I'd
somebody?
second John's,
John? And who second?
yes.
Okay. So a motion by Kurt, second by Hill.
I think I have a question,
Okay.
possibly for Mike. I don't know, if you don't want to answer this, he can hear you.
Do you want him?
If you don't want to answer this, that's fine. I'm just, I had a call from a board member who was asking me to not vote for you to be on the board. And then I had another group of people that said, you and the off-going person have had a conversation and he supports you, and I don't know if you can offer any feedback as to if any of that is real or unreal, or people trying to snow me, or what. I just,
No,
I just in Never Never Land.
Most of us are.
Yeah, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
It's not that bad. I can't, going back, I can't really, there was a lot of drama in December. I can't really speak to whether it's recent that one of the board members up there still doesn't want me on it. I don't know that.
Okay.
I do know that, yes, there was a lot went on between myself and the outgoing person on the board. You know, it was unfortunate, but it happened. It influenced several of the people on the council. Hopefully, we've gotten beyond that, but yes, at the, I think it was it the second meeting in December, John, when you and I were at the light plant meeting, LMP? And yes, he did change. He made the statement that yes, he would change, and he in fact asked John to change his vote to yes, or to bring it back and change it to yes. So
Yes, being in support of you.
yes.
Okay.
At that time, and I talked to the mayor about it, I really felt that Amber deserved the first shot at it, and I would take if there was another one. But again, this is now for the mayor to decide, and she asked me if I'd be interested, and I think that I'd be a good addition to it, and I told her yes.
In December, when those appointments were made, there were 2 seats that were opened, and I brought 2 names forward. At that time, Mike was on the council, so when I brought Becky Davis's name up to fill one of those positions, it passed by majority. When I brought Mike's name up, because he could not vote, it died for a 3-3, so it did not pass at that point. And I'm just now bringing it back up. I'm not aware. I went to the Light Plant Board's meeting last week on Thursday and let them know that I planned on doing this so that they would have a full board. Nobody made any comment. I told them who I was planning on doing. Nobody said anything negative about it as far as discussing it or anything, so I don't know who would have called you, and I don't need to know that. This is one of my appointments. I'm trying to fill that utility board, so they have 5 members, and I still think Mike is the best choice of that. I was told by board members back in December they needed somebody that had an accounting background and knew accounting, that type of thing, which Mike has, and I still stand behind him for that, so.
Anything else?
You really want this spot?
I don't know if it's going to affect everybody's vote. Yes, I would like this spot.
Okay, good.
I think I can be of value to it, and
Yeah.
yes, I would like it. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for clearing that up, Mike.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Then I ask for a roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
I'm going to abstain.
Any reason?
There was so much confusion in December. And I talked to Bob afterwards, and I think he agreed with me. It shouldn't be me to change this. It shouldn't be my decision. It wasn't that night, and it shouldn't be now. It was, I'm not blaming anybody. I want nothing against Mike or whatever. You don't need my vote to pass it. I just feel it was kind of a mess, and I understand.
And I wish I'd have thought of abstaining also for the same reason.
And Mike, I've gotten calls too. And so I feel I shouldn't have I wasn't here in December, and as I talked to you afterwards, Bob, I just feel that my vote won't make any difference anyway, but I feel that I'm kind of going against what was going in December, and I know a person can change their mind. I don't mean it that way. But I feel pretty strong that I should stay and abstain and not be part of the conflict, if you will.
Mr. Elmstrip staying?
Yeah, I would
Question?
question the perceived or real conflict that would warrant abstention.
Right.
Generally, and I'm not trying to create
Okay.
any additional drama, but, you know, ultimately it's your choice, but it would be a yes or no vote unless you have a conflict of interest that would warrant abstention, and that, you have to make that decision.
Well,
You are currently a council member.
That's correct.
This is being brought
Okay,
up
but
in
you,
order
okay,
to-
I'm gonna go ahead and vote, but you understand why I'm doing so. Because of, I'm not gonna change it either way, but I felt that it wasn't Mike, I'm not trying to speak for Mike, but I will go ahead and vote no then.
Okay. Mike?
We'll cancel each other out since we weren't on it.
Trying to do your job.
O'Laughlin.
First of all, I'd like to say that I had 4 calls on this. Actually, 4, and then somebody stopped me at a store, and all 5 were very positive in this. And 2 of them were very critical of the light plant. I don't think they understood the board. Well, they understand the board structure. They don't exactly like it, and they feel they're too far away from us as far as the finances and things like that. But I said they've been established since 1940, so what is, that's what, and I vote yes.
Hannah,
No.
Vaughn.
No.
Yes.
You already voted.
I already did too.
You're trying to get 2 votes
Early
in,
enough.
John?
So this still passes.
It's 4-3.
4-3. Okay, motion is carried. Thank you, Mike.
John, this,
Oh, you don't have this
this
one
isn't
drawn
Chicago.
later.
You don't get to vote
I was trying to be different.
often.
Vote early, vote often.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, new business. Stars Over Independence, Big Band Extravaganza Contract Agreement with Henderson Event Center. We need a motion to approve the contract agreement. This is something the library is doing with their One Book, One Independence program. But this is something the city actually has to go into this contract rather than the library. The library doesn't have the authority to enter into this contract by our insurance company.
The rental, just one question, the rental fee is not something that the city additionally needs to put forth, is it?
No, I mean, this is part of the library's One Book Independence umbrella, if you will. The issue came up when the Henderson Event Center appropriately asked for a certificate of insurance to hold the event there. And ICAP, being our insurance provider, raised the question about, can the library enter into a contract that's going to entail, providing this insurance, or does that have to come from the city council? And it was determined that it really has to come from the council to obligate us, and again, tying back into the ICAP insurance coverage. I'd very strongly recommend that you approve it. It's really more of a formality and keep the library on track. I think they're doing a really nice thing with their One Book, One Independence, and this is something somewhat unique and I think pretty exciting for the community.
I make the motion.
Motion by Scharf,
I'll second.
second by Kurtz. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next, I need a motion to sign the funding agreement for the bridge replacement program.
We received a letter last week from, I guess on the 14th, from the Iowa Department of Transportation authorizing us for up to $500,000 of city bridge funds or $1 million of federal aid swap funds. When we had the conversation with the folks in Ames, we'd fall under the $1 million federal aid swap. It's not really our decision, it falls more back to them, but because of the size of our project. The letter also authorizes us for full bridge replacement or significant rehabilitation. So we can do, if you remember back to the RFP process, there was some question as to whether or not we rehab or replace. Both will be eligible under this, up to $1 million. And we do not require, or the DOT does not require council action. I feel better entering into this with council action, obviously, because we're committing to accepting up to $1 million worth of bridge funds.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Kurtz. Roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next on the agenda is the street RFP selection. You were given a copy, it was on your dais tonight. It's also on the iPad for points. Each of you were requested to score the 8 companies. Did we end up with 8 or 7?
7.
7 companies that came and gave us their ideas of how they would do. This one is for the street that would be doing from Wapsie River to Malone Creek Bridge.
I do want to point out, and I emailed you earlier today, I also put on your dais, there was 2 small errors in the calculations. It did not change the ranking, just a couple of points on both the streets and the bridge RFPs. One involved JEO. They received an extra 20 points because we had an IIW score sheet that came in for 20 points, and it got put into the JEO stack. I caught that this morning. I made that change. IIW did not get scored because, of course, they withdrew. And so I, again, changed their point total, did not change their average ranking within the system. And on Fair Graham, there was a 3-point swing. I inverted the bridge and the street scores that were given. So their points went down on the bridge by 3 points, and they went up on the streets by 3 points. And again, it didn't change significantly the rankings and the average rankings. But just be aware of, I did put those changes in front of you so you see what the actual scores that you submitted were.
Question on this now, these scores are what, a total of what each council member, so when we have AECOM with 558, the total points that that all the council members together listed on their rating forms added up to 558?
That's correct.
Just wanted to make sure I was understanding that.
The total points that the council awarded between the 7 council members, and then the average ranking, I just went down your list of 1 through 7, whatever you scored as being the highest point total, the second highest point total, that gave them a 1 through 7 score, and I just put the average of all 7 of your scores on the average ranking. Whether you want to go by points or average ranking, that's up to the council, however you want to do that.
One of the things that we had talked about or discussed originally was, do we want to try and stay with the same engineering firm for both projects, or do we want to split it? Whereas we would have the same supervision people in town and not having to double up on supervisory people, that type of thing. And do we want to have that discussion amongst us before we vote on all these, or how are we going to do this?
I personally didn't think there was only, I think, maybe 3 firms that mentioned that there would be a discount if they got both, and I didn't think those were amounted to a ton of money. You know, I think one was 5,000 to 7,000, one was, I don't remember. But it, you know, when you look at the total amount, it didn't amount to a very large percentage, you know.
Well, my understanding was that last year when we went through this, and Crawfords were awarded the things, and they were awarded Second Street too, that they were the street ones. But I guess if that's not the case, then we're gonna open it up like this, then when we open it up for the wastewater treatment plant and for the airport, we can do the same things.
You have the choice, I mean, you have an option to select whoever you want for your professional service, engineering, regardless of what it is.
Sure, and we
But
can do the airport and the
with-
wastewater treatment plant after this.
With a couple of exceptions. When you're dealing with some of your federal funds, for example, the Community Development Block Grant, you are required to go through this type of a process, and we did that last year. Well, because we were doing it for the Community Development Block Grant last year, we did it for all 3 of the projects. That was a year ago. But that was a process we went through because we already had to do it for the selection of the engineering for federal funds. So,
because of the CDBG, then,
correct. I mean, because we were doing it for that, we said, well, let's do it for all 3 projects. And we broke it into 3 projects at that time. Again, because we're already going through the process.
well, I mean, that's good. I mean, if we want to look more, the airport and the wastewater plant would be another 2 good ones to look at, too.
And again, the council has the right to go through whatever choice you want in selecting engineering services, with the exception of, I mean, you do have to follow a selection process for certain federal funds where you don't have a choice. Other than that, it's however you want to go through it.
Well, there's an appeals process within, I read extensively on it, and there is an appeals process within those, but I'm not going to expand on that.
I think, we included everybody this time. I think last spring, a bad tone was set because the council didn't get involved in the beginning process. Part of it our fault because we said we didn't want to. We voted not to. In hindsight, we should have. This year, I think we did the right thing. I think the council got involved in the entire process, read all the materials, did their ratings. They probably didn't turn out the way some of us would like them to or would have preferred to do, but that's because there's 7 people all giving point totals, and everybody knows it's impossible to get this group of 7 people to agree on much of anything. So I guess to me, we've done the process, we've followed the guidelines. The chips are falling where they may on these projects, and I think to beat them any farther is going to just create a lot of ill will. I think we've done the due process. I really think that if we simply throw this out the window, we're not setting a good precedence for down the road. And I think, like Mike said here, with other projects, we can do the same due diligence. To go back even farther, we used to have a time when basically the committee picked the engineering firm. And obviously, that wasn't the best way to handle it. So I think we're in a learning curve. We're getting better at it. But I guess that's my 2 cents.
Would you like to make a motion? Need a motion
On
to
the street?
select?
I would make the motion that we award the street project to the point total, the one that got the most points. That would be ACOM out of Waterloo.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by Hill, second by Hayward to select First Street East RFP from ICOM and negotiate a contract for completion of this project. Roll call.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
No,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. Next, we're down to the bridge RFP selection. Same process. You guys, everybody, or the council members scored for this project also?
I'd make the motion, we award the contract again to the top point company of WHKS out of, is that out of East Dubuque? Out of East Dubuque.
I'll second.
Motion by Hill, second by Hayward to select bridge RFP from WHKS and negotiate a contract for completion of this project. Roll call, please.
O'Laughlin,
No, because of their restriction on their liability within the scope of projects.
Hannah,
No.
Vaughn,
No.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
4-3.
4-3.
Motion carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda is a motion to support the Catalyst grant application for Don Spargrove with $45,000 TIF funding and $5,000 in kind of off-street parking.
Mayor, I don't want to interrupt you. You have several engineering firms here, multiple firms.
Okay?
I want to thank the folks, not just from Crawford's, but the others that are here as well. Thank you for taking time to come in tonight.
We're excited to work with you.
Okay.
We are as well.
Thank you. Sorry I didn't do that. Moving forward, Catalyst application match.
Mr. Spargrove is working to proceed with his Catalyst grant application, and we have proposed a local match of $5,000 in kind for off-street parking and $45,000 of tax increment financing to support his $425,000 project.
Where's the off-street parking going to be? In
The-
the back lot?
In the back lot behind the building. We took a look at what off-street parking valued is, I mean, if it's at a lease rate, and the $5,000 is in line with what it would take
Value.
for 7 units to each apartment to have one spot.
Is this an apartment deal up above the stores?
Above the Hardig drugstore, in that corner there, yes.
Okay.
And again, this is just supporting the grant application. The pre-application was approved. They've invited the full app, and this would be our participation. We can go up to $100,000. I was not comfortable with tax increment financing to that degree, but I thought the $45,000, which is approximately not quite $7,000 per unit.
So there's there's multi-units he's putting in up there?
Well, there's some question as to how many that, he talked about having 7 up there, and the question was whether or not he could have 8, or if 7 was the right number, but that's what he's been proposing.
Okay.
Let me ask you something. I went down and talked to some of the people that have businesses along there. You say you're gonna let them park in the back. Now, you know, as well, we all know, they're gonna be parking along and blocking these people's businesses. It happens all the time. I just want everybody to think about that. I know there's lots are back there, and we're gonna talk Monday night about, because that's gonna be a snow thing too,
Right.
okay? But I don't know if anybody else went down and talked to those people that have businesses along there. They're complaining now because people leave their cars there 2 or 3 hours, and they've spoken to the police, and I don't know where they're getting on that. But the one person says he has people coming, they're so old and stuff, they can't even get out of their vehicles, they have to help them in. Now, they're gonna be awful upset if their parking places are taken. So what can we do to guarantee, I know we're gonna have their license plate numbers and stuff like that, but I'm just gonna say it's gonna happen.
If there's open parking, I'd love to tell you there's a way to guarantee it. I don't know how I guarantee where people park or don't park.
No, but you know, if they get there, what's 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe 24 hours? And I know you're right, Al, we can't guarantee that. I just want to express, I did talk to these people and had some concerns, so I'm just, let everybody know.
What, is there a way to designate which parking spaces these renters can use?
Well,
Well, in essence, that's what we're doing by identifying those 7 off-street parking spots. We have to identify a spot for them.
Yeah, but we're not gonna designate the ones right behind the building.
Even if you
We
did,
move them out to the sidewalk area.
Right.
even if you did that, where would you park, Bob, if you're coming home for dinner? Wouldn't you park right as close as you could to your apartment?
But
I would.
But the thing is then we give we give the police the option, if somebody's parking there for 24 hours, they can mark the tire and say, hey.
They're not gonna park there that long, just a couple hours, and that's 2 or 3 hours of the business hours that these poor people are that are running a business and are trying to make a living and actually working for a living, those people are the ones that's gonna pay the price.
Well, what about the business people that park right in front of the stores? That don't even go and park behind?
That happens
And so
too.
then the customers but they don't park in front of their own stores, they park in everyone else's store.
Well, I wouldn't either, Bob, would you?
Well, but I'm saying,
But now you're
if-
gonna increase the problem, that's what I'm saying.
but
We can't handle that problem.
we can't please everybody,
But we
can
can do something about this problem today. We can work on this problem. We can't work on all of them at the same time.
What we have on the agenda is whether to do this, support this application. He hasn't even been awarded the grant yet.
That's true.
So we're arguing about something we don't even know will ever even materialize.
But if we go ahead and award it to
So-
them, how are you gonna back out of that 6 months later? Answer that for me.
We still have another stage to go before we finalize this and he
Let it
actually
go,
starts
it'll just-
building.
If you let it go, it'll grow legs and keep right on running.
At that point, we can be looking at what spaces we would do. We could work with the police department as to how this would work. We're just trying to support this Catalyst grant application. We're not in the position to arguing about parking spots yet.
I would disagree with you. Denny and I don't always agree, but on this one, I think we do, that we need to make sure people understand if we approve this, this will be one of the problems that's going to be there. So I don't think we could ignore not discussing it at this time, just so people are aware.
Carl, are these parking spots or the businesses, are they on the west side of Harding on Second Avenue?
Yeah, but on the other side, they didn't complain as much on the west, but in the east side, they all had
Barber
it.
shop and
Yes.
those places.
I'll tell you, Andy was quite spoken, which he would be. And I see this gentleman owns that building, of course, but I know that everybody needs to make a living, and Bob's right, sometimes people, they'll park in front of somebody else's store, and it's happened all the time. I've lived in Independence. But if there's a way that I can prevent that or help prevent it, I don't want to make another mess, but I don't see a solution right now.
Do you think limiting, say 1 hour parking or 2 hour parking in those, from the Harding Drug Corner to the alley, do you think that would eliminate? They're still gonna park there when they come home for lunch.
Right.
But that's no different than if I park there and going to get a haircut.
Correct.
That spot is just gone for a period of time.
I'd like to think so, Mike. I'd like to think so, but, and I don't own one of those businesses, but I hear the people. I'm just trying to listen to the people, and that's why I'm here, is to listen to the people. And I know that's on the tax roll now, and I know there'll be more benefits for the tax roll, but god dang it, we need to take care of the people we have here.
Without putting a lot of time and energy into thought about it, I just popped into my head that maybe we could limit the parking time.
Yeah.
By ordinance and see if it works. You're still gonna have to have law enforcement to monitor that,
They're gonna have to walk the sidewalks or get the bicycles back out. You really think they're gonna do that? Can't even get them to rattle the doors at 11 o'clock. How you gonna get them to do that?
Well, I will tell you that it being a public street, public parking, we cannot discriminate against who parks in public parking.
That's true.
You
That's
can,
true.
you can limit the time. The challenge that you've identified is the greatest challenge, is how do we enforce it? And is that the highest and best use of our limited resource, the police department's time? And,
Right.
again, if you're going to be open and honest about it, that will be a challenge. I think a more practical solution is the landlord himself has to consider those type of covenants in his lease agreements. But we cannot restrict people from parking on public parking spots beyond the ordinance like we have with the 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. during the winter, or snow emergency, some of those types of.
Well, I lived downtown for quite a while, and I can tell you where I parked. It was the closest place to my front door. Every time.
Just
I
out
didn't feel
of
guilty
curiosity,
about it.
just out of curiosity, where do the business people and employees park now? Right on the streets?
Mixed business now.
Quite a few of them on the street.
I'm serious. I mean,
And so are we. That, I
mean-
I happen to know some people that will park 2 or 3 businesses up from theirs. They're not gonna block their parking, but they don't mind blocking somebody else's.
I mean, we always had rules where our employees could park, and they couldn't park in the prime parking spaces by any means.
No, when Audrey worked at Sears, when it first opened, they had to park about 2 miles away.
But that's-
Well, out there, they had white lines, and then you went to yellow lines, and you had to be out in the yellow lines.
I like Mike's idea because it not only helps with the potential for renters, but I think it helps with general parking along that street, because that street is notorious for people parking on either side of Second Avenue northeast there. I like his idea.
Is there room for 7 spots behind the Malik Theater? And do we have access, or, I guess, is that private parking, or, I don't know? The Amish used to park their horses back there.
You could probably take that number 7 and double it, because most of them are probably gonna be a married couple up there or whatever, and they're gonna have 2 vehicles. Parking's gonna be a problem, policing's gonna be a problem, snow removal's gonna be a problem. We're going to build the units out there by the Walmart. We're gonna have apartments. Those 7 apartments are not gonna make or break our town, and it's just gonna cause havoc for us.
There's another thing to look at too. You're talking about different, I hate to use the word class of people or class of landlords. You're gonna attract people that are from 18 years old to maybe 30. As soon as they get married and start having kids, now that's the reason I moved out of downtown areas, because that's not a fit place to raise children in an upstairs apartment on Main Street. It just isn't. So you can eliminate them people out of there. You're quite limited to the people you can rent to, you know. That's my opinion on it.
Well, I understand, but again, the purpose of the grant is, it's a catalyst program. We talked about, we want to, matter of fact, one of your goals is to fix up the downtown. How do we make downtown more vibrant?
Do you really believe that's going to fix up downtown?
Well, I think it's going to be better than it is today.
Yeah, it'll be better for that landlord, and that'd be the only one person.
Well, I don't know. You're saying adding 7 tenants downtown is bad for the downtown. I'm not sure it is.
How do you tell me how it's going to be good for the town?
Well, you're fixing up a building that currently.
Yeah, but you're not going to notice it being fixed up, because that's going to be an interior.
Okay.
No one in the world is going to notice that being fixed up, unless you live there.
The purpose of the grant, it's a catalyst program. The building was selected as a place to start. We have to start investing someplace in our downtown, and that's the purpose of this grant.
We did start somewhere. It was called Red Sidewalks, and so far it hasn't brought in a dime. Can you prove to me that that's brought in 10 cents downtown, that red sidewalk?
I'm not sure what that has to do with the catalyst program.
You said you made the statement that we have to start doing something for downtown. Well, we tried to do something for downtown. We put a lot of money in there, and all we've done so far is got a financial burden on all the merchants down there. That's all we've done.
Okay. Well, it's up to the council as to whether or not they have enough desire to invest in the downtown to the tune of $45,000 plus $5,000 in kind to support the Catalyst grant. Contrary to your thoughts on that, Denny, I think it's a good project, and I think it's very worthwhile. It does not mean it's funded. There's $1 million statewide to go through this kind of a project. This is a small one, so it might have a better chance, but there are no guarantees it's funded. But it does require the council support to submit the application in the first place.
I'll make the motion so we vote on it and move on.
I'll second it.
Motion by Hill, second by Hayward to support the Catalyst Grant application for Dom's Bar Grove with $45,000 TIF funding, $5,000 in kind for off-street parking. Roll call, please.
Hannah,
No.
Vaughn,
Who?
you,
Oh, me? No.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
No.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
I would still like to explore Mike's suggestion on that, limiting time parking,
I think we have time that we can come up with some ideas maybe.
whether this goes through or not.
I was gonna say, whether this goes to agree with Bob.
Yeah.
Something to look at down.
Okay, I'm down to reports. Deb, I'm going to let you go first tonight.
I've only got that I'm going to hopefully be home on the 3rd for the banquet out there, but there's snow coming in Des Moines on Thursday and Friday, so I don't know about traveling through there, but otherwise I will be home if the weather's good.
Are you driving
Thank you.
home? Are you driving home?
Yes,
Oh, okay,
yes.
okay. Good to see you again.
Okay, thank you.
Vaughn, I'll let you go next.
Nothing.
Mr. Kurtz,
I have nothing.
Mr. Hayward,
Nothing.
Bob Hill.
I kind of enjoyed tonight. I think we had some good discussion without getting too personal. That was pretty nice. Good job, everybody.
No knockdown dragouts, that's good. Carl,
I give a ditto to Bob. Thank you.
Mr. O'Laughlin,
An interesting night with our choices here. We talk about downtown, we talk about things like that. Support your local businesses is what I say, and we've had the opportunity and we missed an opportunity, so maybe we can make it up sometime.
anything from the police department?
No, Mayor.
Any other department heads hiding back there? I don't see any. City attorney.
No, thank you.
Keep quiet on this one. Gina, do you still have a voice?
Barely, yeah, gonna pass.
Okay. Al,
The only thing I have tonight is the Absolutely Indy folks are planning March 22nd for a branding kickoff meeting. If you want to mark that down,
What was the date?
March 22nd, I believe, is what they're targeting. There'll be,
time, date,
it's in the evening. I think that's a Thursday. There's more information coming, just be looking for that. And one of the things that I'd ask you to think about, we're getting closer to spring. A year ago, about a year ago, the council voted to donate the I signs that are at 3 of the entrances in town to the school district to refurbish and put on Mustang Way Drive, which is between the high school and the football field.
There's actually 4 of them.
should be 4 different.
There was 4, I thought, well, 3 or 4. I thought one disappeared or one had issues, but anyway, the council voted to donate those to the school district, and it's getting to the time when we do have our branding in place. We do not have entrance signs to necessarily replace them, but I think it's appropriate whenever you're comfortable to start thinking about moving those so that they can get them set up. We'll talk about that more, but it's one of those things just to put on your radar.
Don't we need something to replace them with, though?
That would be ideal.
Having them gone would be a major improvement, let alone,
Yeah.
you know,
I do have
Replacing.
one more thing. I received an email that said, or this morning, I guess, and it said IT, that I needed to go in and change my password because
Do
there's
not
some
open.
security breach. I
Do
did
not
not
open.
open it. But,
Delete.
and I sent a message to Kevin about it, but I hadn't seen anything on it before, so,
That would be one that you don't want to open.
yeah, that's what I figured.
How do you know that?
I checked with IT.
Actually, I opened it and it said you've opened something, we caught you.
We initiated we initiated a test for city email accounts. I wish you hadn't put me on the air to do it, but we did run a test to see how many people would open them. And really what it's designed to do is raise awareness at how easy it is to get caught in these phishing scams, if you will, or schemes that are out there. And we are working with our ICAP insurance folks and putting this together. So thank you for sharing.
Well, Al, we're the only ones to admit we got caught.
I have a much better excuse, but I'll save that for a later
Oh,
story.
sure, just telling me that I'm the dummy.
No.
Nobody wants to bring up backfill.
Well, there is a new attempt or a run at our backfill, not in the 2018 budget, but in the 2019 budget. There was a bill that went to the study committee and has made it to subcommittee very, very quickly, as in it started late Wednesday and went through study committee, and it has got a subcommittee hearing tomorrow afternoon that would eliminate backfill, in essence, in our next 2 budget cycles, which is contrary to what we were told or shared with when we were down there in early February, where it was off the table for 19. I'm not sure what all is going to happen, but the proposal that is out there that seems to have some legs is we would lose a third of our backfill in the 19 budget, the one that you're going to have your budget hearing on next council meeting. And you would lose 2/3 in fiscal 2020. And then in 2021, the third of the 3-year phase out there would be 0. So depending on how you argue it, it's either 2 years, as we understand fiscal numbers, or 3 years in legislative terms of how do I phase this out altogether.
You will see it in 2, as I informed everybody back in January.
Right. Well, the question comes back as to whether or not they're going to honor the idea of leaving it alone in 19 or not, because we have to have our budgets approved by March 12th. The ability to change that is going to be very difficult. We've done some things to mitigate that potential, but again, if you have the time and energy to contact your legislators, it would be a good idea to do that now.
Senate file number 2081.
Correct.
Contact your legislators, tell them not to do it.
Well, the thing that seemed to have the most traction when we were visiting with the legislators were, the concept of the backfill was to energize the economy. And really what's happened is the urban economies have been energized. They still have the backfill. The rural economies have not. Why don't we adjust the backfill accordingly, leave it in place for the communities that have not realized the growth that it was supposed to create? But where it has created the growth, maybe it's time to start transitioning away from that. And that would be in keeping with what was promised. I mean, if it's done what it's supposed to do, that's fine. We haven't seen the growth that it was supposed to or promised to create.
Nobody has except Des Moines.
There's a couple places I think that have seen some of that, but again, they'll dispute that as well, I understand. But that's it.
Anything else? Nothing else?
When are we going to Waverly?
March
8th.
8th.
4?
We have to be there at 4 o'clock, so we will leave here roughly 3 o'clock, back parking lot, for anybody that is able to go. I'm giving us an hour to get there. I think that should be plenty of time. And if you definitely are going, please let me know so that I can make sure we have the arrangements, travel arrangements for anybody that can go.
I got the time off, so.
I'm planning to go now.
Yes, I have Deb and Bob.
Put me down to it.
Carl, Mike. Just make sure I don't leave you behind.
Could
so
we
if you let
take
me know
more
that I
than
can-
just the city car?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't
No, I'm
think,
driving.
can you hold more than 4 or 5?
We'll have appropriate accommodations.
Okay, I have one thing, emergency management is having a weather spotters training by the National Weather Service on Tuesday evening, March 6, 2018, out at the Mental Health Institute's auditorium, main entrance. And a meal will be furnished. Agenda is 5:30 to 6. We'll sign in and meal, and 6 until it's done will be the training. So anyone out there who is interested in attending this, I don't see where, it says they do need to RSVP. They're attending to
What's the hours on that, Bonnie?
I'm sorry?
What's the hours on that?
5:30 to 6 is sign in and meal, and it's 6 o'clock until done. I don't know how long the spotters training takes. Maybe it depends on how many questions there is.
I'd be interested.
Okay, are we planning on doing a number, or do we?
If you want to let us know, we'll get you signed up, or you can call Rick Wolfkuhl and, or Chris and at the Buchanan County Emergency Management and sign up directly. They just need a count so they know how many people to feed. But excellent training. It would be good for anybody, whether you're interested in being a weather spotter or not. Very, very worthwhile for a couple of hours of your time in the evening.
Do you want me to send you a number, or?
We'll get Deb signed up.
Okay. That's out for anybody out there in the public would be interested in that. It would be a good thing to attend. I went to the Chamber's After Hours event last week, which was out at the junior senior high school, and had the opportunity to talk to teachers or instructors with the yearbook, the DECA program, FFA, and mentors, and got information from those programs and encouraged them, told them it was part of our goals is to try to get the youth more involved in government, and explain to them about the fact that we have kids from East Buchanan come to our council meetings, but nobody ever comes from the independent school. So I did get Val Maximovich was very helpful to give me names and contact information. I'm going to try and see about attending a student council meeting or something, try to encourage these kids to get more involved, maybe see if we can get some of them to sit on some committees to either at least sit in and give us input or learn how things work. So it was very helpful. I appreciate the fact that the Chamber had that event and did get a chance to meet some really interesting young people that did seem to show some interest. So I will try to follow up on that by contacting some of the leaders in it. Otherwise, I don't think I have anything else to share. So I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf, second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None? Motion carried. Thank you.
Good night, Deb.
See you next time.
What time is the chamber meeting starting?